Hello, and welcome back to the Maid Summit. My name is Meaghan Likes with Bookkeeping Academy Online. I like to educate and empower small business owners to know their numbers so that they can live more financially rewarding lives. That's what I do all day, every day for the past 15 years. And I really love helping home service businesses because I own a cleaning company. I own a window cleaning company based in Northern California with my husband, Jeff. But this year for the Maid Summit, I wanted to teach a class a little bit different than usual. Usually I'm talking about profitability and about numbers and about money and about all of that. But this year, I really kind of have been on a kick to teach about something a little bit different because it's been really helpful and impactful for the clients that I serve. And that is to talk to you about how to organize your business so that it's paperless, so that it's virtual, so that it's stress-free. This was something that was really helpful for us when we took our accounting company. I own an accounting firm called Likes Accounting Company. We took ourselves virtual, completely remote, in less than 4 hours in the middle of tax season last year as a result of COVID. So we had a 1,500 square foot office where we had 11 staff members all working together, and we all moved home on March 16th. I believe that was actually the deadline day last year. And we were up and running in 4 hours. And as I've talked to business owners over the past year, that's something that apparently is a little bit unusual. So most people, it sounds like, are still paper heavy. So in today's class, I wanted to help you get rid of the clutter and get rid of the mess in your office so that you can breathe a little bit better, because we know that it has been a hard year. We know that it has been complicated. We know that we've had to make a lot of difficult decisions, and hopefully you're starting to breathe a little bit from that. But what I'm finding now is that we're craving getting organized. We're craving like becoming proactive again instead of reactive, because it's been a year of reactivity. So in today's class, I'm really excited to share with you how to organize your business into just 5 file folders, and finally go paperless. So if I were to open my desk drawers right now, I'm in my home office, I would pull out that I have no folders in my desk drawer. This drawer is completely empty. You can't really see it, and I don't want to mess with the camera because I only got the right angle where I feel like I look nice. But you can see it. On the other side, I do have a few file folders. I am a tax accountant. I'm trying not to do taxes for people, so please don't ask me to do your taxes, but I still do about 100 tax returns a year, and I still have a few left. So I do have a few active tax files in this side of my drawer, but that's it. And then in my living room, which I brought into my office today at home because I run 5 businesses out of this address. Okay, that's not true. I run 4 businesses out of this address. In my living room, I have a file system that works really well for me. And at my office, where my accounting firm is now, I have the same file system. Anywhere I receive mail, I have this file system, and it works really well for me, and I wanted to share it with you. So this is my 5 file folder filing system, and I'm going to show it to you. Hopefully I don't lose it all, but here it is. You see that? It's very pretty. It's gold. Fancy, right? Okay, so here it is, and I want to go through what's in this file system. Okay, so the very first file that I have in my file system, and if you want to follow along, you can totally do this. You can totally go get blank files and write on them. But my very first file is called my to-do file. Okay, and in my to-do file are really interesting things. I'm going to be really real and just share it with you. I have my vaccination cards because I've been meaning to digitize them, make a copy of them, and laminate one of them because I do a lot of traveling and I haven't needed it yet, but if I need it, I want to have a backup copy. So I've got my vaccination cards. I have some travel vouchers because I've had a little bit of bad travel luck lately. So I have some travel vouchers that I want to make sure I get in my Southwest account. I have an auto body shop note because I had to have some work done on my car recently that needs to be taken care of. I have some notes from a seminar that I went to. Oh, I have a car insurance card. Notes from a seminar I went to recently that I need to implement. So shout out to Hire Who. These are Dom's notes from Recruiting 101 that I've been meaning to implement. I've got some car registrations that need to be paid, but they're not due for another couple of weeks. So I just have them hanging out in here. I have a baby announcement. And then I have some blank envelopes for when I do need to mail and pay paper bills. I like to keep those blank envelopes. They're handy. So that's what I have in my to-do folder. And what I do is as I'm opening the mail, anybody else, can you relate? The mail is just like crippling. It's it just, ugh, I hate mail. I hate how much mail I get. I hate mail for business. There's just so much mail. My husband and I, we don't fight about anything except for mail because there's just too much of it. So we have a rule in our house that mail that is unopened goes in a special mail slot. I don't have that in the office, and I'm not going to run and go get it, but I have a little place where we put unopened mail. And then when we open it, either it goes straight to the recycling bin, or it goes into this to-do folder. So the to-do folder, it tells me that I need to do something. Like on the baby announcement, I need to order a gift and mail it, and I need the whole envelope because that's the address of where it's going to go, right? On these bills, I need to pay them, but they're not due yet. So I follow the profit first system for all of my businesses. Turns out I kind of follow it for my family as well. And we pay bills on the 10th and the 25th of every month. So I'm not going to pay those bills until the 10th or the 25th because I'm not going to pull out my checkbook and worry about that. These other to-dos are just kind of like, this is my tickle file. If you've ever followed the getting things done method, this is how I remember to do them because I know that twice a month I'm going to be looking in this folder. So finally I have a system for when we open mail or when something comes in the house that we can take care of. I just found that fell. I also have some gift cards in here, so I need to digitize those or spend them or something. So those are my to-do folder. Okay, so that's my very first folder of the filing system. The 5 filing system is something that needs to be done. This is my reminder that I need to get it done. So it hangs out in the to-do folder, and I try and do it on the 10th and the 25th of every month. Now, occasionally, something will come in that doesn't need to be done, but I don't know what to do with it, really. So here's an example. We had a work truck get its oil changed, and I save all of these oil change receipts because if you're ever audited, they have the mileage on them. So it's really helpful, right? So this is in a folder that says to scan. So my second folder that I have is a to scan folder. It's probably what you used to call a to file folder. And you'll notice mine's kind of thick. It's not super thin. This is real life. This is me live and in person from my home office. In my to scan folder are things that maybe came from the bank or receipts or maybe things, these are other, we have a lot of work vehicles. This is a one that's been marked paid that was a DMV receipt, right? And so I just keep these in this to scan folder. And what I do is when the folder gets too big, or when my husband or I have lost at rock, paper, scissors, we will go through and we will scan all of this. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our filing system for how we scan, but that's where we put it. So if you get a piece of mail that is informational only, nothing needs to be done with it, and you don't have a digital record of it anywhere else, then it just goes in this to scan folder so that it's a safe place that I know it's being held. And hopefully this is not more than a month worth of data. Hopefully this is not like piling up over the course of a year. And this is where I keep it. So that's my to scan folder. And then after I've scanned things, I have a to shred folder. So this folder says to shred, and in it is pretty thick. And it's all been opened, right? Everything has been opened and dealt with. It's been scanned already. And now I can pay my niece or a small child to come in and do my scanning. I have a scanner in my office, or it's not scanner, sorry, shredder. I have a shredder in my office. They can come in and do all of that shredding. So that's my to shred folder. All of this has been done. I know that it's been scanned. I know that it's saved in a safe place. I know that I don't need a physical copy of it anymore. And so it's going to be shredded. And I'm going to get rid of that paper. And it never has to go into a file cabinet again. It never has to go into a drawer again. It just gets shredded and goes away. So my rule for this one is when it doesn't fit anymore, when it doesn't fit in this system anymore, that's when it's time to do the shredding. So that's what I do with the shredding. And then the last folder, because I am a tax accountant, is I still keep a taxes folder. So I like to keep my tax documents as I get them. So this might be, tax forms that we get. This might be 1099s. This might be year-end tax statements. This might be our contribution letters. So we get a lot of thank you letters. Thank you for donating to XYZ. It might be our trips to Goodwill. We get those little yellow tags. So I keep those in here as the year goes on because I still like having that paper file to keep that random stuff. And then I actually do have one extra folder in here. We received mail for a friend, and her name's Susan. And so Susan has her own folder so that we don't lose her mail because that was a problem for us. Okay, so that is our 4 file system. We have to do, to scan, to shred, and a tax folder. Ignore the Susan folder. You're not going to have a Susan folder. Okay, so those are my 4 files. They fit really nicely in this little area, right? So I can fit all of them in there. I feel like it's nice and contained. It doesn't look too cluttery. I have a place in my living room where it's near where the mail hangs out that it can kind of live. And then it's really easy for me to grab the whole thing on the 10th and the 25th and take it into the office and deal with it, right? I mean, you might say this looks a little messy, but it looks way better than the stacks of paper I used to have in my office. Okay, so that is my 4-folder filing system. My 5th folder is not really a folder, but it's important to show because this is real life, right? So this is kind of embarrassing. I think this is my parents', but this is my 5th folder, and it is a firebox. Very simple, old school firebox. And what I keep in this firebox is anything that's an important original. So we're talking about like titles to cars, we're talking about passports, immunization records, marriage certificates, death certificates, life insurance documents. I keep everything that's important because I do live in California and fires are a real thing. Everything that's important that if I needed to run, I would be able to grab. I have Jeff's very cute birth announcement. Isn't that adorable? And I keep all of that in the firebox. Pretty cool, right? So if there's a fire, I know where to go. These are all my important documents, all the originals, anything that has a seal or a notary. I have a copy of our wills in here. Do not have a copy of our trust in here because that's with the attorney. I have a copy of our corporate, like our original that was filed with Secretary of State, but I don't have our corporate binder in here because again, that's with the attorney. I like to have the attorneys keep the important things just in case I don't want to lose anything, right? So that's how long, that's where I keep all those important docs. And so the second part of today's topic I want to talk about is a common question that I get as a CPA. I'm sure you've asked your CPA this before, but the question is, how long should I keep things? How long should I keep those important documents? And so I have a firebox to keep some of the forever things that I need to keep. And then I have a digital filing system to keep the other things. So I'm going to walk you through really briefly. And I know we're talking super fast, but we only have 30 minutes. You have a lot of learning to do here at the Maid Summit. So I'm going to walk you through really briefly how long you should be keeping documents. As a business owner, you should be keeping your supporting documentation for your tax returns. You should be keeping your receipts. You should be keeping your invoices, anything that you took as a deduction. I believe you should be keeping proof of that for 7 years. So for 7 years, you need to keep all of that documentation. Now, there may be accountants out there that say it's only 3 years, and I'm a little bit of a hoarder. I've got a few hoarding tendencies, so I think you should keep them for 7 years. Now, I do not think that you need to keep the originals of them. You need to keep originals of the titles. Titles to property, titles to vehicles, titles that are important. You need to keep those originals forever, as long as you own them. Deeds, you need to keep deeds forever, even for property that you don't own, because you need proof that you don't own it anymore in case there's ever some sort of weird lien or levy or something that happens. You need to keep those forever. Estate planning documents, you should keep those forever. Now, I like to keep mine with the attorney that filed it, and then I have in here a couple of jump drives, and I have the jump drive to the estate planning documents. If I need it, it's in this folder, this envelope. I know that's the jump drive to my estate planning documents. Your corporate documents, same thing. You know, your stock certificates and all of those, if you have a corporation, I keep those with the attorney, but I have a jump drive in here of those documents. So I keep those forever. To review, 7 years is the magic number that I want you to be keeping your documentation. I want you to keep all of those invoices, all of those receipts, all of those bills, anything that you deducted on a tax return, your bank statements, your phone bill. I want you to keep all of that for 7 years. And then forever, I want you to keep the actual tax return. I want you to keep the tax returns forever. I want you to keep the titles to your property forever, the deeds forever, your estate planning documents forever, and your corporate documents forever. I may have forgotten one. Like I said, I'm an accountant. Now I'm teaching a class on organization, but I do believe that those things should be kept forever. And that's what I do for my businesses. Now, you might be asking, like, really, you want me to keep my tax returns forever? how on earth am I going to do that? And I've helped 90-year-olds who have kept in their file cabinets. Their file cabinets are not empty like mine are. Their file cabinets have tons of documents of tax returns. I have helped those people before. I believe now that we can digitize these things. We just need a digital record, and we need to have it in a safe place where if we lost our computer, we would not lose it forever, right? If your computer got stolen, would you still have access to this important information? Is it secure? If your hard drive blew up, or I'm an accountant, I'm not a computer person. I don't know if hard drives actually blow up, but I feel like we hear about them failing a lot, or like freezing or losing our hard drive a lot. If you're to lose your hard drive, would you lose this information? So you need to keep it in a safe virtual place. Personally, I really like Google Drive. I know other people really like Dropbox, but I really like Google Drive to store my information. That's a really great place for me. And then the other thing that I really like is I got rid of the files of receipts, because as a business owner, we have a lot of receipts, right? So I actually keep a super cute jar here of my receipts. I know, it's adorable, isn't it? Okay, so I keep a jar of my receipts and I just stuff them in here. Jeff is much better at this. He actually just keeps them in his wallet and takes pictures as you go. I stuff them in here, and I'm really good about writing a note on my receipt. So this note said that I had a meal with Bobby and Martha, and it should say where I was, IWCA, and that is my receipt. And so I keep them in here, and I pay my niece, and she comes in and she unfolds them all and makes them all pretty and straight. This one says IWCA. She unfolds them all, and she takes a picture with my cell phone logged into my QuickBooks Online file. She takes a picture, and QuickBooks Online saves my receipts now. And QuickBooks Online is so smart that it actually attaches them to the transaction that I spent it on. So this one says that it was at the San Diego Mission Bay Resort. I forgot. I got to go to San Diego with Martha recently. San Diego Mission Bay Resort, and it will attach it to the transaction when I swiped my credit card. So it will know San Diego Mission Bay Resort, and it's going to attach a copy of this receipt that has my handwritten note of who I was with and what we were doing, and it will attach it to that transaction. So with my receipts, the jar doesn't really get, sometimes, my niece, she comes, every couple of months. So sometimes it gets a little crammed in there, but for the most part, they all fit in here, and I can just deal with them as I need to. And it's just a jar that sits near my file folder systems in my living room. So that's a safe place for me to put my receipts. And once they have been taken a picture of and attached to QuickBooks Online, I'm done with it. I'm not going to touch it again. It's going to go straight into the shred bin or straight into the trash can. I'm not going to see that receipt again. I'm not going to keep that receipt again because I hated the paper. Can you relate to me? I used to have like stacks of paper that would be like a leaning tower of Pisa. And there was so much paper in my office, so many files of receipts. And it was really hard to keep a handle on. So now my receipts go in a jar until they get a picture taken of and they're uploaded to the QuickBooks app. And then I can attach them to the transaction in QuickBooks. I have a lot of resources for how you can extract that data if you ever need to. Like if you're ever audited, how do you get copies of all these receipts out? Super simple. QuickBooks will just create a zip file for you. It's fantastic. And then for this to scan folder that I have here, this to scan folder, when I'm scanning it, what I do, and I realize I should probably have done slides for this. Sorry. I figured it was a 30-minute presentation and I would just buzz through it really quickly. If I were to have a slide, I would tell you that this to scan folder gets scanned into Google Drive for me. And in my Google Drive, I have a folder for every year. So we're in 2021, and I have a folder within every year for every vendor. And the nice thing about that is I can copy my vendor folders over from year to year. And then when I'm scanning something, I will name it the date of it. So this is a Speedy Lube invoice. And this invoice is from 4/29/21. And so the date of this file, when I go to scan it, would be 4/29/21. And it would get saved into either the Speedy Lube folder, or maybe I just have an auto folder. Or maybe I'm super organized and I have a folder by work vehicle so that I can track my work. Let's be honest, I do not have a folder by vehicle because I am not that organized. But I do have an auto folder, and that's where it would get saved. So it would say Speedy 4/29/21, and it would get saved in my auto folder in my 2021 year. And that's what I do. Then same thing with DMV. I would just put this in the auto folder and I would say DMV and I would say the date and I would probably say the vehicle. That way I could find, Toyota 1, Toyota 2, Toyota 3, whatever, Ford 1, 2, 3. And so I just scan them and I put them in there. And then the next year, I make a new folder, 2022. I copy over the names of all my vendors and I start again. And I start scanning and I save them. So what I found is having the name of the vendor is really helpful. Having the date of the invoice is super helpful. And then if you want to put one other identifier, like the truck or the car that was included, that can be super helpful. So for me, I've been able to organize what used to be stacks and stacks and multiple offices of paper and clutter and junk that was just like, oh, I couldn't breathe. And my husband and I were constantly arguing about like, where's this piece of mail? Where's this invoice? Where's this thing? It's all either in this folder, right? This is my to scan folder, or it's in my very, very narrow to do folder because I do it twice a month, or it's saved in a digital record in Google Drive where I can easily search it and find it. And it has been such a game changer for me that I had to share it with you at this Maid Summit. I'm sorry if you were looking for accounting advice, but I did sneak in QuickBooks Online. You should be using QuickBooks Online. And I did sneak in the super fun receipt trick there. And then as just a life goal, you should absolutely have a firebox. You should absolutely have a safe place to keep important documents so that if something were to happen, you could go grab it quickly and find it. Or hopefully if there's a fire that this, from my parents, we like that old school things last longer, that this would actually survive the fire. So yeah. And if I were really good, I would probably have a digital copy of everything that's in there also. I'm not sure if I do. Maybe that will be my homework from today's assignment. Speaking of homework from today's assignment, if you found this helpful or if you found this valuable and you are interested in learning more about how to take your office paperless, I'm actually hosting a workshop. It's going to be a multiple hour workshop where you could sit with me, not live in person in your office, but virtually via Zoom. We can do this via Zoom now. We're going to do a workshop and we're going to take our offices paperless. And that workshop is called My Paperless Office. And I actually have a bit.ly link for you that is included in this page, in this Maid Summit page, where you can go and sign up. And we're going to host those workshops 2 different days. One is going to be Thursday, August 26th at noon Pacific time, or we're going to do it again on Tuesday, August 31st at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're interested in joining me and taking your office paperless and getting to a point where you don't have stacks and stacks of paper in your file cabinets anymore, where you actually can get a handle on where everything is and where it should be, I would love to have you join me in my paperless office workshop. My name is Meaghan Likes with Bookkeeping Academy Online, and I am so excited for you and all the learning you're doing this week at the Maid Summit. It is one of my favorite events of the whole entire year. And I look forward to seeing you at a live and in-person event at some point over the next year. I'm glad that we're all coming back and we get to see our friends again. And thank you very much for listening to this talk. As a refresher, we talked about my 5-file folder filing system. That's a mouthful. I need to come up with a different way to say that. But the 5-file folders that I believe in are the to do, to scan, to shred, and a tax folder. Taxes are important. And then the 5th one is having a firebox, having a safe place for really important originals that you need to keep. I also talked about how long you should be keeping your documents to stay audit proof. So I recommend 7 years for any deduction or any supporting income and bank statements, and forever for those really important documents like the actual tax return should be kept forever. The titles, deeds, estate planning docs, and corporate docs should be kept forever. And I talked about my favorite strategies for organizing in a digital world these documents so that they are safe and secure and can be accessed anywhere. We do not want to save them to our desktop because our computer could get stolen or it could get compromised. So I recommend using a product like Google Drive or Dropbox to organize all of your invoices and your receipts. And I have a very handy dandy jar for my receipts that I use until I'm able to scan them into my QuickBooks Online app, which is my favorite receipt tracking app because it's incredibly smart and it's included with your QuickBooks Online subscription. It does not cost anything extra. And if you're looking for more tips and tricks, please join me for the My Paperless Office workshop on August 26th or August 31st. And you can find the link for more details in this recording for the Maid Summit. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your learning and that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping in. And I can't wait to see you soon. Thanks very much.